will acquiesce to whatever Naaman requests. If he needs to go somewhere, yes, you can do what you need to do. I'll send a letter of introduction for you. He was on the wall. It's like he had it all together. He was powerful. He was respected. He was revered. But just like Humpty, not only was he sitting on the wall, but Humpty had a great fall, because if you go back and you read carefully, what you discover is that there's an issue. Because if you notice in the last statement in verse 1, it says this: he was a valiant soldier, comma, but he had leprosy. I want you to understand this morning that everyone in this room, without exception, has a comma in your life. You need to understand that Naaman was mighty on the outside, but on the inside, there were problems. You need to understand that he was admired in public, but he knew the truth about himself in private. You need to understand that in the privacy of his own home, when he was alone and he would take off this heavy armor and all the military garb that he would wear, that when he looked in the mirror, he could not get past the fact that he had an incurable disease called leprosy. He was broken. His future was shattered and scrambled. His fans saw the stripes on his jacket and the coat and on his armor that told of his military exploits, but they couldn't quite see past the facade of all of that to recognize that deep down there had been a comma placed in his life. And like Humpty Dumpty, he had a great fall. I wonder how many of our fans can't see past what we project. I wonder how many of us are hiding brokenness this morning, and we need to learn the lessons from this little nursery rhyme, but also from this biblical account, that there are some lessons that will impact us and change us, because so many of us are also hiding brokenness. Here's the first lesson I need to teach you this morning, and I hope you'll get this in your spirit, is that hidden brokenness is not the same thing as healed brokenness. That was better than what y'all... hidden brokenness is not the same thing as healed brokenness. Because some of us believe that because we have our brokenness hidden, that we have also had it resolved. But the truth this morning is that a lot of us go through our daily activities and we have a lot of people fooled. And we come to church on a Sunday morning and we have individuals that we have fooled. We stand on a stage and we sing and we act like we have it all together, and we think nobody really knows. That's the outward expression of what's going on in our life. But what about the inward situations of our life? Some of us think that because we have this public persona, that there's this just veil of perfection on the outside. We go to work and we smile, and we go to school and we parade around like we've got it all together, and we come to church and we play like nothing's wrong in our life, and we've got everybody fooled except for us. Because we know that behind this public perfection, there's this private pain that has not been resolved. I just need to reinforce this truth to you this morning, that just because you have it hidden doesn't mean that it's been healed. How many of us cover up? How many of us are faking it? In the privacy of our own room, in our own home, we unmask and we come unglued. And in the safety of the hidden places, we are exposed to the depth of our own brokenness, and we discover that we too are scrambled and shattered and broken. But when we get here, how you doing? Blessed. Too blessed to be stressed. Well, really? Because last night you were curled up in a fetal position because you were so stressed about how I'm going to pay my bills. And you come in here and people say, how you doing? Oh, it's been a great week. Oh, really? Because you and your wife fought like cats and dogs all week long, and you're really wondering if your relationship's even going to be able to endure another week. And some of you are coming here and say, how you doing? Oh, I've been provided for. Jehovah Jireh, he's my provider. When the truth is that you're really wondering how you're going to keep the creditors off of your back for another week. And we walk through life hiding brokenness but never resolving our brokenness. See, what this account teaches us is this. Naaman is valiant in battle, but at home he's broken. And an interesting exchange takes place because the Bible says that the kingdom that Naaman's a part of has raided Israel and taken a little girl captive. Now, you need to understand, this is that in and itself, because if you capture me and I'm your slave, I'm probably not going to let you in on any facts that would heal you. Some of you missed that. There's a powerful exchange that takes place here that shows that this little slave girl still had the mind of God and of compassion and mercy, because she sees the brokenness in the house that she's living in. And she responds, I need you to see what's taking place. Please, please, please don't miss this. Naaman is broken and there's no hope. And a little slave girl. Okay, red flags ought to be going off in your mind. Like a little slave girl. I'm going to slow down. A little slave girl speaks to her master and says, I can help you. You didn't. I'm going to go this side. Maybe this side's awake this morning. A little slave girl speaks to her mouth. Okay, so you got to understand what's happening here. An unexpected voice. Someone that is lower class, at least in their opinion, because she's not in the upper echelon of society. She's captive. She's a foreigner. And she's a she. That doesn't mean as much now to us, and the alarm bells don't go off. But in that day, the women had no rights, they had no voice, they weren't supposed to speak until they were spoken to, and yet she is bold enough to step up. Can I just tell you this morning that you need some unexpected people that have the ability to rise up in your life and to speak life into you, and here it is, and you'll listen to them. You will listen to them, because she understood this, and this is the truth that she taught him in that moment, and that is this, is that brokenness must be uncovered to be cured. There's no other way. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty back together again, right? Well, Naaman hears this little slave girl say to him, I know where you can go. And so Naaman responds by talking to his king. Hey, I need you to help me. Then they send a letter to the king of Israel and say to the king of Israel, you need to heal this dude. Are you with me? Okay, because this is important. Because I read it to you, the king of Israel comes back and responds like this. Am I God? Are you crazy? Have you lost your mind? Why? I don't have the ability to do what you're asking me to do. So here's the lesson that I need to teach you this morning, and that is this. Brokenness is permanent if you don't go to the right kingdom. I'm going to say it another way. If we don't go to the right kingdom, any solution that we find for our brokenness is only temporary. Naaman discovered that his king couldn't help. He discovered that the king of Israel couldn't help, that these men had power. They both they're kings, y'all. They can make edicts, and they can make decrees, and they can give commands, and they have authority, and they have power, but they have no authority in this particular situation, and they don't have the power to deal with Naaman's brokenness, right? Because that's the wrong kingdom. The wrong kingdom. So our problem is this. How many of us keep going to the wrong kingdom to find solutions for our brokenness. Oh, I'm preaching right now. This is what we do. We apply quick and temporary fixes to compound fractures. We keep putting Band-Aids on areas where we really need surgery. We get patches when what we really need is a transplant. Right? We keep going. Too often we turn to people and things that don't have the power necessary to resolve the brokenness of our life. We keep running into people going, can you help me? And they go, am I God? We keep running into things. Can this resolve it? And it has no ability. I have a question for you today, and I need you to answer this in your own life. Is any of the stuff that you've been running to, are any of the people that you've been running to, are they God? Can they really fix the brokenness of your life? Because if not, then their solution that they offer you is temporary. One more fix, one more dose, one more purchase, one more touch, one more thing, one more adrenaline rush. They all come up short. And they will never affect the area of your life permanently, and the effect will wear off. And most of us are even willing to try some crazy stuff that we never thought we would try because we're so desperate for a solution that we turn to all these other things. We try them, and they don't work. And we go through life broken. Naaman discovered what we have discovered, if we were honest, and that is that the kingdom of this world lacks the power necessary to resolve or heal our brokenness. In fact, I want to submit to you what you already know. The power of this world, the resolutions that our world offers us, all they do is they numb and they distract and they delay. All the king's horses and all the king's men come up short. Well, you know, it's kind of crazy to me that what we'll do is we'll even, we try crazy stuff, and then we want to argue and resist instructions that are simple, that actually work. And that, because see, we wanted, I want the spectacular. Wave your hand in front of me. Get your little magic wand out. Let me take one little dose and that'll fix it all. I can't get no help up in here. Am I just preaching to me this morning? Well, we want this show. We want it to be. And yet, when somebody will take a mic in a setting like this and give us simple little instructions that if we would follow them would set us free and resolve our brokenness, we will resist and argue. That's exactly what Naaman does. He goes, what? You want me to go dip in the Jordan? Let's get real. Let's put it in our perspective, because most of you have never seen the Jordan, so in your mind it's pristine and beautiful and clear waters. Some of y'all know what it's really actually like in certain areas. So let me put it like this. Naaman says, you want me to go dip in the Canadian? That is a perfect parallel example of what the Jordan looks like, minus the fact that in the Jordan, never mind. Ask some of us that went to Israel what's really in the Jordan, at least part of the Jordan. You want me to do that? You want me to do something simple? I need a show. I need a formula. I need a recipe. I need you to pull me up on stage, prophesy over me, knock me down, like slather me with oil, send me home with 92 steps to freedom, and then that's what I'm looking for. But we won't do the simple stuff. So we stand up on Sundays like this and we say, one of the best ways to get healed is to forgive people. What? Huh? Are you serious? I need something else. I don't like that one. Well, I need a financial breakthrough. So we'll stand up here and say, okay, cool, this is simple. Give 10% right off the top. What? Are you crazy? Could you give me like 12 envelopes I could live out of each week? And I got nothing against all that, but we won't even take the easy steps. And we want to negotiate and argue about the things that would actually bring resolution. And finally, Naaman's servants look at him and go, you got to be kidding. They're asking you to do something simple. If they'd asked you to do something hard, you would have complied. What has God said to you that's simple that you keep asking him to give you something hard, that if you would do the simple, you wouldn't have to do the hard? What is it in your life? What instructions has he given you that would produce healing if we would simply obey? So the only way to find help is that Naaman discovered that one of the things about this prophet is that this prophet would not put up with surface level issues. He only wanted help with his skin. Oh, you know what's coming, don't you? But the prophet was dealing with his sin, because the real issue of Naaman's life was pride. And so the prophet pushed past the skin, the surface level, to help him discover and find a very real solution for his brokenness. Can I say to you this morning that my solution for brokenness for you is the same as in the story? Because here it is, in a nutshell. The little servant girl looks at him and says, hey dude, I know a guy. And I just came to say to you this morning, hey, relationship broken? I know a guy. Are you struggling financially? Hey, hey, I know a guy. You sick in your body? Hey, I know. Go to the doctor, but when it comes down to the bottom line, listen, hey, I happen to know a guy. Your kids are running out of control and driving you crazy. Hey, you can borrow my belt, but let me tell you, I also have some better news than that. I know this guy. I know this guy. I just need to give you some information. I want you to know that I know a man. I know this guy that specializes in brokenness. I know this guy. There's this dude I know that has the ability to handle brokenness. In fact, I just want to give you some of the reviews that have been written about this guy I'm talking about, just so you'll believe the credentials. Here are his credentials. Like Psalms 34:17 says that God is close to the brokenhearted and those that are crushed in spirit. Well, then Psalms 147 comes back and brags about this guy again in verse 3 when he says he heals the brokenhearted and he binds up their wounds. Because then Isaiah comes along in chapter 42 verse 3 and he says he will not crush the weakest reed or put out a flickering candle, but he will bring justice to all who have been wrong. I know a guy. Well, but does this guy even believe this about himself? Yeah, he does. Because in the New Testament, this guy stands up in Luke chapter 4, and beginning in verse 18 through 19, he begins to just talk about himself. He makes declarations about himself. He says this, he says, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to do what? To heal the brokenhearted. I know a guy. He says, I have come to heal the brokenhearted. He said, I didn't come to just patch it up. I didn't come to just fix it for a week. I didn't come to just deal with it for a month. He says, I have shown up on this planet for the sole purpose of healing, to bringing back to the original state your broken hearts. He says, I've been sent to preach deliverance to the captives. He says, I've been sent to bring recovery of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised, to preach the acceptable year of the Lord. I know a guy that has the ability to handle and heal your brokenness. My question this morning then is this: do you know this guy? Because what I've discovered about this guy is that he forces us to push past surface level issues to get to our real issue. And the reason that so many of us continue to walk around broken is because we continue to try to hide the very thing that he came